In my previous lectures, I have discussed regarding the gradient, the divergence, and the curl. And we have seen that a gradient talks about the direction along which a scalar field changes at a maximum rate. On the other hand, the divergence is operated over a vector, and that informs us regarding the rate only at which the vector field gets diverged or gets converged to a particular point. The curl, on the other hand, tells us that the rotation of a vector field on a particular plane. But the all form of this operator, del operator, that we have used or we have seen in my earlier lecture, they are the derivative for the scalar and for the vectors. But they are the three-dimensional representation of the derivative. So the derivative, the rules of the derivative, what already you have been introduced at your uh, school level physics or mathematics, the similar rules should be followed over here with a few exceptions. So in this lecture, I'm going to introduce you a few rules of the three-dimensional derivative in case of the scale, in case of the gradient, for the divergence as well as for the curl. So let's start with the product rules and the double derivative in 3 dimension. So first, rules for the scalars and vectors. As you can see over here, that the gradient is distributive in nature, because if you apply gradient over a summation of two scalar quantity, then you can apply this gradient separately to each of these scalar functions. So this property is called the distributive property. Similarly, the divergence and curl follows the distributive property. On the other hand, if you apply the gradient operator over a function which is a scalar function and gets multiplied with another scalar quantity, that is the k, if k is independent of the space coordinate, then you can take this k out from this space derivative and you can write the space derivative as shown in this expression. In a similar way, if you multiply the vector with a scalar constant k, and which is being a constant is independent of the space coordinate, so therefore we can take this k out from the this operation, and that can also be used for the curl operation. The scalar product. The scalar product means the product which can generate the scalar functions. So first one is obviously two scalar function that when gets multiplied generates the another scalar function. The next one is the dot product between two vectors, and already we have seen the dot product between two vectors is equals to the magnitude of the first vector times the magnitude of the second vector times the cos theta, and it is free from any unit vector. So therefore it generates a scalar. Vector products, on the other hand, generates vector. So in case of the vector products, the involvement of a vector must be there. So as you can see, the scalar function when gets multiplied with a vector, that generates a vector, and the cross product between two vectors generates vector, and we have been experienced with such kind of operation in my previous lecture. The rules for the gradient. Here, the gradient you have applied over the product of two scalar function. So these rules you are familiar with in case of the one-dimensional derivative. That means first this gradient will be operated over a function when the other function must be considered as a constant, and plus the first function will be taken out from this operator by considering this one is the constant, and this operator will be operated on the second function. This is the same rule that you have used in your school level mathematics. The new one is this one, the gradient of a dot b, that means the dot product or gradient of the dot product, because since the dot product of two vectors generates a scalar, so we can easily apply the gradient operation over here. So this expression, as you can see, can be written as shown over here. So what is the significance of this? Basically, this gradient operation is also following the same operation that I have written over here for the scalar product. Why? Because this gradient of A dot B is basically written as the gradient A dot B plus gradient B A dot B. The significance of this notation is that first of all, this is called the Feynman notation, subscript notation. Here, the gradient A operates over the A vector, and here this gradient B operates over the B vector. So this is basically the similar function that I have written for the scalar product. So when this operator is operating over A, B will be considered as constant, and on the second case, when this will be operated over B, A will be considered as a constant. This function can also be written as B dot grad A plus A dot grad B. And here you can see this operator, this grad A, I have not written over here, and similarly grad B I am not writing over here, because right now they are operating over A, and in this case they are operating, it is operating over B. So it is not necessary to write over here. How can I get this expression out of this expression that is shown over here? It is very easy to find it, because just you have to use the back cab rule. Do you remember the back cab rule? I have discussed the back cab rule. So just apply the back cab rule over here. If you consider that this one is the A, this one is the B, this one is the C. So for the first vector, you can write back. So B, that means this gradient operator, AC. So A is A here, but C is the B. Now, initially this operator, here I am taking out from this expression, but this should be replaced by grad B, because initially it was operating over this B vector. And back cab C means B A dot this one. So this is the back cab rule for the first one. Now look at here. Here I am not writing B subscript over here. We do not need to that, because this operation tells you that first this dot product will take place between this A vector and the space derivative, and thereafter that derivative will be operated over the B vector, because after being dotted with the A vector, this function or this quantity will be a scalar. So with having no unit vector along any direction. So when this scalar quantity will be operated over this vector B, as there is no unit vector, so no dot product, no cross product, so this operator will be operated over all of the component of the vector B. Such kind of example I will show you in this lecture later on. Anyway, so this is the back cab rule for the first case. Similarly, for the second case, this will be A, this will be B, this will be C. So we can write plus B means this one, and right now this one is operating over A, so we should write A, BAC. So this is the B dot A. Back minus cab C, A means B, and this one. Now from this expression you can easily write that this function gets cancelled and this one also gets cancelled, leaving these two terms. These two terms I have discussed you at the beginning of this slide. So this is basically this kind of operation that I already have done for this scalar product. The similar operation here you can see is appearing for this vector product. Next are the rule for divergence. So here you can see the divergence when operated over the vector, here the vector I am obtaining by the product of a scalar with a vector. So the divergence rules will also be operated in a similar manner that you have seen in a previous case. So that means first you are considering f is constant, that means scalar function is constant, and you are operating this operator over the vector as a divergence, plus next you are considering the vector is constant and you are operating this operator over the scalar as a gradient. And the next one is the divergence of the cross product, because you can apply the divergence over a vector and the cross product also generates a vector. So in this case, in a similar manner, you are applying the uh, divergence over this A, and that becomes a curl, whereas you are considering B is constant, and in the next case you are considering A is constant, where you are applying this operator over the B as a curl. The only difference is that in all of cases there exists the plus sign, only here exists the negative signs. So all of these functions are basically called the vector identities. So another vector identities are the rules for the curl. Here the product of a scalar with the vector generates a vector where you can apply the curl, and similarly the product of two vectors through the cross product also generates a vector. So in this case also, as we have seen in my last slide, that you can apply the dot product or the divergence over this cross product. So here also you can apply the cross product, and which has this kind of identity. Next is the double derivative. Yes, the double derivative has a very important uh, factor in case of the electromagnetism. So first one is the divergence of the gradient. Now, what is a gradient? Gradient tells you about the direction along which a scalar field gets changed at a maximum. And what is the divergence? Divergence tells you that at which rate the vector field gets diverged. So what is the relation when you are having the divergence over a gradient, whereas the gradient is operated actually over a scalar field? Imagine that you are nearer to a heat source, a very intense heat source, and you are moving further away from the heat source, and you have an equipment, very sensitive equipment, and you are continuously measuring the temperature at each and every distance when you are moving further from the heat source. So you are measuring the temperature after covering 1 meter distance. So as you are moving from the from nearer to the source, the drop of the temperature is a bit greater, whereas as you are moving farther away, or already you have moved farther away from the heat source, and now you are moving the same 1 meter, the drop of the temperature is remains almost similar. So what does that mean? It means that the rate at which the temperature gets decreased is not a constant or not uniform. Nearer to the heat source, the scalar field or the change of the scalar field is much intense or faster, whereas far away from the heat source or the from the source of the scalar field, the change of the scalar field is a bit constant or slower. So it represents the divergence of the field. Basically, when you have applied the gradient over a scalar field, you have obtained a vector which gets diverged with a particular rate. And divergence means uh, the rate is not constant. It is diverging because the rate is varying with respect to the temperature. You can relate it with the velocity or and velocity and the acceleration. So velocity is the rate of change of position with respect to time. So acceleration is, on the other hand, the rate of change of velocity with respect to time. So in a similar manner, you can also relate the gradient is rate of change of a physical quantity or of the scalar field with respect to space. The divergence of a gradient, you can assume the rate of change of the gradient with respect to space. So if the rate is constant, that means whether you are nearer to the heat source or far away from the heat source, the change in heat, so the change in the temperature as you are moving the constant or 1 meter distance at each and every moment, if you observe the decrease or increase of the temperature is constant, remains fixed, that means it is not diverging. The gradient is there, but it is not diverging. The rate is constant, but in reality, it doesn't happen. Anyway, so whenever you are applying the divergence over such kind of gradient, you are going to get this kind of expression. And the dot product of this operator with the gradient uh, brings you the new expression, which is called the Laplacian. So Laplacian has a very important factor or very important equation that we are going to deal with in this course of electromagnetism. This one is another one which is an interesting one because look at here, the Laplacian. In previous case I have discussed the Laplacian of a scalar because divergence of the gradient I have considered. But here, in this case, Laplacian of a vector I am considering. The problem is that by considering such kind of thing, as you can see, the del square, which is the del dot del, that is the dot product between the space derivatives. So that this del square is basically a scalar-like operator, okay, because it has no unit vectors along any directions, because already you have dotted them and you got the del to del x plus del to del y plus del to del z. So you don't have any kind of unit vector. So, but here you are operating over a vector. So a scalar operator is operating over a vector. How can we apply? Yes, we can apply, but in that case, we have to convert this vector into the scalar. So how can we? We have to decompose this vector into its individual components. So ax, ay, and az, and then this operator will be operated over each of its components. So this operator, that means the del to del x2 and del to del y2 and del to del z2, all of these directional operator will operate over this ax. Similarly, all of the directional derivative will be operated over the ay, and all of these derivative will operate over this az. So this is the significance of double derivative Laplacian over a vector. Next is the curl of gradient. So what is gradient? The gradual change of a scalar field from the source. And what is the curl? Curl means rotation of a vector. Already I have discussed in my previous lecture. Now, can you suggest or can you tell me that is there any vector which is gradually changing although it is rotating? If it is rotating, it cannot change gradually, or it there cannot be such kind of rate at which they can change gradually from the source. So it cannot happen. So if there exists a non-zero gradient, the curl of the vector must be zero because it cannot rotate at all. So that's why it is zero. Although mathematically you can prove it by taking this t as an arbitrary function and you operate over this del operator over the arbitrary function and take this curl, because we can write in the simplest case, you can write that this and this, that means cross product between these space derivative, then this cross product is operating over t. So if you assume that these two are a vector in nature, then it should have some component, it should have some direction, and since these two are similar vectors, so these two have the same direction. So if it has a direction n cap, it must also be have a direction n cap. So when you are doing the cross product between the similar vector who are parallel to each other, so you will get 0. So that's why simply you can get 0 by considering such kind of operation. But the physical significance of being of this curl of the gradient being 0 is that if something is something is changing gradually, it cannot rotate. As simple as that. Next one is the gradient of divergence. The divergence produces a scalar field and we can easily take the gradient of that. Obviously, this operation is not equals to the del dot a, because this one is equals to del square of a that already I have discussed in just my previous slide. But this operation and this operation therefore are not the same operation. Gradient of divergence is like the opposite of divergence of the gradient. Means you have a scalar field and you want to know at which rate the scalar field gets diverged, and thereafter when you have obtained the divergence of that, it become a scalar field. Okay, so because it informs you regarding the rate, only the rate. Now when you are applying the gradient over there, you are basically want to know along which direction the vector is actually changing with a maximum rate. So that's why the gradient of divergence is appearing into the picture. But obviously this significance of the gradient of divergence must not be equals to the del dot a, because this equals to the divergence of the gradient. So both of these two are opposite in nature. Next one is the divergence of curl. Curl of a vector means the rotation of a vector. Divergence means the rate at which the vector is spreading out. Already you have seen. So if something is rotating, it cannot diverge purely. Okay. So yeah, there may be some vector which can it can have a spiral propagation, which means that when the vector gets diverged, it is also rotating. So it is diverging as well as rotating. Suppose like this, like this. So starting from a very small region, it gets diverged in this way. It can happen, but in this case, for such kind of vector, you can separately identify the curl operation as well as the diverging operation or the divergence operation. So any vector can be uniquely defined if its divergence and curl are defined. Any vector, I will show you later, in my later lecture. So therefore, if the vector gets diverged and is curling simultaneously, so we can separately define its curl operation, its divergence operation. But if a vector is purely curling, okay, or purely rotating, it cannot diverge. So that's why the curl of a vector A, the divergence of a curl is equals to 0 always. The last one is the curl of A. This one is the most important equation in electromagnetism, because later on you will see when I will discuss the electrodynamics, this equation is going to define the base equation of the electrodynamics. Because in that case, I will replace this A vector by the electric field or the magnetic field, and this solving or the solution of this equation will give you the wave equation, electromagnetic wave equation. I'll show you later. But for the time being, the operation over an arbitrary vector A can be written as this one. This is based on the back-cab rule. Very simple. Next, to basic problem. So find the Laplacian over for a scalar. The first one is a scalar and the second one is a vector. So for the scalar, it's very simple. Apply the del dot del over the scalar operator and you will obtain this one. And finally, if you write the expression for the scalar function over here and you will do this derivative, you will get this one too. This is called the Laplacian operator and it is operating over the scalar field. The concept of Laplacian operator I will discuss later, but this is the mathematical approach by which we can calculate the Laplacian of a scalar. But the Laplacian of a vector, as I told, the Laplacian of operator is scalar in nature, and when you are applying the Laplacian over a vector, then you have to apply that operator over each individual component of the vector. That means this operator will be operated over the ax component, similarly over the ay component, similarly over the az component, and finally this del square a final expression is a vector in nature because it contains the x component and y component as well. So this is all for today. I hope you have understood the derivative rules and the double derivative. So these rules I am going to apply when I will deal with the electromagnetism. So although all those rules are not necessary, but the curl of A is of greater interest and we will use it. Thank you very much.